NSNG is pleased to present our program lineup for September 2024 to May 2025. Marjolein de Linge is a Dutch felt maker. She creates felt sculptures, installations, and theatrical pieces. For Marjolein, the ancient craft of felting allows unlimited creative freedom. Before discovering felt, Marjolein was primarily a painter. Finding this century-old expressive medium, she has never abandoned it. In her lecture, Felt in Form, Marjolein will share her journey as an artist, starting with graphic arts and painting training in Holland. After moving to Canada, she turned to felting and started creating accessories. Her work was noticed by Cirque du Soleil, and Marjolein created costumes and theatrical products for their shows. Marjolein's latest work is a celebration of nature. In Discovery Through Felt, Sculptural Felting, many techniques for modeling wool and other fibers will be explored. In this wet felting workshops, participants will be folding, building reliefs, clamping, and binding to create felt sculptures. Playing with a variety of processes to transform the felt surface, focusing special attention on color changes, several projects will be created. Some wet felting experience is required. Quilter Deborah Fell is an artist and an educator. To her, quilting is a celebration of the human condition. Using various materials, Deborah makes fiber layers that create scale, depth, and ambiguity. In her lecture, Thank You, Edward Hopper, Deborah will trace her journey as an artist and educator. Deborah has been a professional educator for over 30 years. Besides teaching at-risk high school students in a public high school setting, Deborah has taught various art workshops at national symposiums. Her art focuses on abstract, organic shapes while using surface treatments such as dyeing, painting, photography, and reclaimed materials. Perfectly Imperfect Mark Making is a workshop that focuses on process rather than product. Minimal supplies, no machine necessary. The focus is using the stitched line as mark making. Participants will explore personal mark making preferences. Choices for the final project include a banner, a book, a sculpture, or 9 small related compositions. Mixed media artist Millicent Kennedy uses prints, found objects, and natural dyed textiles to chronicle the physical world in flux. Millicent has had solo exhibitions, created installations, and received several artist residencies. To stitch is to hold printed images and found objects. Millicent will reflect on the research and inspiration that has directed the investigation of materials used to create their artwork. The work is often a response to specific places, stories, and histories. Millicent embellishes, references, and reimagines objects of mass production, labor history, and pre-digital production methods. In this workshop, Printing and Painting on Fabric with Indigo and Iron, Participants will create and use an indigo vat, get an introduction to methods of using ferrous on cloth, using tannins, in addition to using a clay resist to print. Fabric samples can be sewn through easily. The dye does not affect the porousness of the cloth. The instructor will be providing all supplies. Participants should bring rubber gloves and an apron. Dutch artist Miriam Gile is inspired by the patterns, the colors, and the textures of nature to create organic embroidery. Having no formal art education, Miriam learned from family members and then by taking classes from renowned textile artists. In this lecture, Organic Embroidery, Taking Your Cue from Nature, Miriam will share an overview of her work, how natural patterns can be recreated in stitch, and in return, how the stitch process mimics natural processes. It is not a realistic representation, but rather a response to things Miriam finds in nature. In this virtual 2.5-day workshop, The Versatility of the Blanket Stitch in Organic Embroidery, participants will begin by making a sample piece using several varieties of the blanket stitch, including the honeycomb stitch. Next, participants will create their own piece using the blanket stitch, combining stitches, and applique. Freedom and guidance fitting the needs of the participants will be provided. Finally, the participants will mount the finished piece, choosing either an embroidery hoop or a round stretcher bars. Patricia Bellier made her first quilt at the age of 53 using old clothes. 5 years later, she quit her corporate job to become a full-time quilter. During trips to Japan, Patricia discovered yukata cotton. She started playing with these fabrics. After having more Japanese fabric than she could ever use, Patricia founded Okan Arts. In this virtual lecture, The Unknowing of Creativity, Patricia will share her creative approach to develop new ideas and take you on her journey of exploration. Leapfrogging from one compositional concept to the next, Patricia will present her newest series of quilts, big grids with inserted curves, made with vintage Japanese yukata cottons and other global fabrics. In Creativity and Complex Curves, a virtual workshop, Patricia will teach participants how to add curved pieces to their quilt designs, starting with an 18-inch block, then creating 3 more. Patricia will show how to finish your quilt top, show precise trimming techniques, and then how to add sashing as a final touch. Natalie Boyett is a visual artist who works in 2D and 3D. The Chicago Weaving School is celebrating 20 years of ongoing weaving and basketry classes, where Natalie is the founder and head instructor. In her lecture, Tradition Inspires Exploration, Natalie will present an overview of fiber art of the past 50 years, showing work that began with craft and tradition, and then how fiber artists use that as a starting point of exploration. Natalie will illustrate the steps that led to an artist's unique vision. In ribbed constructions, classic and wild, participants will weave 2 forms, a traditional egg basket and a sculptural weaving. Starting with an introduction to ribbed construction, very small versions of both traditional and non-traditional forms will be worked on. Participants will be able to work on a classic basket one day and a sculptural basket the next day, or choose to focus on one basket. All materials provided: reeds, hoops, and tools. Nancy Crampton's work focuses on rugs and tapestries. She has been teaching since 1983 at various art centers, conferences, and guilds. Nancy is active in the Weavers Guild of Kalamazoo and the American Tapestry Alliance, among others. For Nancy, the magic of tapestry, weaving yarn to make the viewer see curves and shapes, is something that has held her focus. In Hard and Soft, 50 Years of Tapestry Weaving, Nancy will share her journey as a tapestry artist. Her work has taken various forms, from flat wall pieces to footstool covers to purses. Recently, she has collaborated with her husband and used his hand-forged ironwork to hang her tapestries. In this workshop, Beginning and Continuing Tapestry Weaving, participants will learn tapestry joints and how to create shading. Using copper pipe frame looms provided by the instructor or the student's own adjustable tension frame loom, participants will create a sampler. There will be time for discussion about design, color choices, creating a cartoon, tapestry plan, and design transfer. Finishing techniques, lining, and mounting will be demonstrated. No prior weaving experience is necessary. Class fee includes yarn for sampler, use of pipe loom, and handouts. Colette Wright Adams is a visual artist, curator, and community project organizer. Her work explores the relationship between humans and the natural world and the connection between them. In the Observational Artist: Approaches, Practice, and Tools, Colette will discuss her journey as an artist, how she has heightened her observational skills through mindfulness and meditation, and by learning to focus on the present moment. Focusing on trees and botanicals, Colette's perception of the world is a selective process where she filters and interprets the sensory information around her. In this series of short workshops, Meditation and Drawing, Looking to Seeing to Creating, participants will create drawings, collages, and watercolors using visioning and meditation based in observation and accessing intuition. These workshops will help participants uncover and release unique images. Work created can be used as a starting point to design or create future fiber pieces.